Hello, welcome to Fitness Aces, a weekly live stream program aimed at improving your fitness capabilities for tennis levels of all ages. And my name is Josh Rifkin. I'm a master tennis performance specialist. I'm also a tennis coach at the Austin Tennis Academy in Austin, Texas. Dio.
Hi guys, my name is Dio Miranda. I'm the strength and conditioning coach for the Austin Tennis Academy, where I work the body and the mind. And that's who I am. I'm here to help you.
Hi guys, my name's Mike Kelly. I'm the lead strength and conditioning coach at Soto Tennis Academy in Spain. It's our aim each week to bring you exercises that are going to help you on your tennis journey. We'll also show you regressions and progressions of those exercises. So it's aimed at anybody, no matter what level. We'll give you some information to be able to take away and use straight away in your training. And without further ado, I think we'll go straight into my section today, which is the injury prevention and activation section. Today I want to take you through the Spider-Man. We call it the Spider-Man at Soto Tennis Academy. It's also known as the world's greatest stretch, which bigs it up a little bit. It's probably known for that because of the amount of areas that it does target. You can see in the video, this is a very basic version of the exercise, which we call the Spider-Man stride, where you just start in a push-up position, trying to stride the foot outside of the same hand, whilst keeping the back leg straight and pushed out. Gives you a good mobilization around the front of the hip, the back of the hip, but then we can also progress the exercise to target other areas within the lower body and upper body as well. As I said, this would be more so a middle of the road type of mobility exercise. And we want to use mobility drills within our training before we play tennis, before we do our gym sessions. And this one's ideal for any tennis players and anybody going into the gym to work on their squat patterns, their lunge patterns, anything like that. It's a great exercise to open up that hip capsule. What we won't get from this exercise is an increase in flexibility if we do it this way. What we will get, mobility to find the range that our body currently has. With mobility work, we're not looking to gain new range. All we're trying to do is find the range that our body has. So for example, if we've been to school all day, if we've been to work all day, doing these exercises just allows us to open up our joints to get us prepared for tennis. Then at other times, if we want to actually increase the range around our hips and things like that, we can spend a little bit more dedicated time to these areas. What I want to do to start off with is show you a little regression of that exercise. And then myself, Josh and Dio will talk through it. And then I'll show you a couple of progressions as well that you can put in to make it even more tennis specific. So I'm just going to move back and just show you a regression and how to set it up. So if you struggle to get into that position, what we want is a smooth movement of that foot to the outside of the hand. And if you struggle to do that, what we should start off with doing is just going into a kneeling position. From there, our left leg's forward, then our right hand just goes down onto the floor. We reach our right leg back and try and push that leg nice and straight. And then let the left hand come down onto the floor as well. That gives us our normal one position. Now you should be able to feel a stretch in the front of this hip, and then also a stretch in the side of this hip. What we can do to increase that stretch is just anchor on the knee. You can see me better like this. So in that position, if I anchor on the knee, it allows me to open up that hip capsule a little bit more. As I say, get prepared for your gym sessions, for your on-court tennis sessions. Really vitally important. And then again, the front of the hip here. We've been sitting at a desk all day, whether that's work, whether that's school, whether that's travel. It's a great one to lengthen through the front of the hip into those hip flexors. that would be where I would start with the drill. And then after that, we can, as I say, we can bring other movements in to target more the hamstrings, to target the thoracic spine, so the middle of the spine where we get lots of rotation from. Any thoughts, boys? Sorry.
Yeah, this is a great one. More than that, it's like also it could be used as an assessment as well when if you have the leg in the front and your heels coming up the floor. You know, we have a professor in common, Josh and I, where he said that's information you can put in your pocket for later. So you see your ankle flexibility as you go, and you're doing something else, right? Getting ready for the game. You can see the adductor, which are like, the groin area. If you feel it there, you're talking a lot about the quads, like, what is that you feel on the quads, and as the quad attach on the hip, what kind of issues that can bring into your game by just doing this, dynamic stretch. But I think it's awesome, as you said, many variations, but it gives so much information because it's so open in the hip area, right? And it's a really cool one. So,
yeah,
I think
so
Josh,
Wins.
I think when they call it the world's greatest stretch, it's for a reason. It's a stretch or a mobility exercise, depending on how you want to use it. That targets so many different muscle groups. If you're coming straight from work, straight from school, and you don't have much time to warm up before you're on court, you want mobility drills and exercises that you get a lot of bang for the buck. That's what we see over here, is a lot of things worked with one movement. It's an ideal stretch. You can, and I know Josh worked on ankle mobility last week, but we can, even in that stretch, we can work that knee over toe position that we learned about last week. It's a fantastic stretch. It's one that's in our program each and every day.
Yeah. So what I love about these movements, Mike, and the world's greatest stretch, like it's kind of around the internet with that type of name, world's greatest stretch. You would call it the Spider-Man, or a different, at ATA, we'll call it like the hip open mountain climber. And there's different positions in which you can go through regress and progress to make it more of a full body opener or movement. Like you said, it's a big bang exercise, as Dio and I would call it. So biggest bang for your buck, least amount of time. And what's awesome about these movements, or these mobility movements, is you can literally feel the range of motion kind of smoothening or sharpening as you go through it. So maybe you're starting with that first one you showed, Mike, and then all of a sudden you can get to that tall kneeling position because that range that you have has opened up. And then you go into the typical Spider-Man position, the middle of the road where you were, and you can put that into some progressions and flows as it can even hit even more parts than just the front hip, back hip, as Mike was talking about. So huge movement, can make it your own and feel it. I think it would be cool to show some other pieces of that, Mike, or flows of that. Like if it's, let's say I'm warmed up and my hips feel pretty good, but I now want to get into some rotation, or I'm going to go play some tennis, right? And I'm feeling pretty good. There's no knee pain. There's no low back pain. What would be something that you can do with this stretch to progress that, or like connect it more,
Yeah, absolutely. So the progressions that we would do would include, like I said before, hamstrings, thoracic rotation as well. So again, I'll move back. If we go for the video that I showed you, we were in that push-up position, and from there, all we were trying to do is keep the standing leg straight. And what we want to try and do is get a smooth movement of the foot towards the hand. What we don't want to see is this big stutter and then trying to get to that position. We want nice control into that position. Then, like Josh was talking about, that rotation, which is huge within tennis, is we use our right hand. If our right leg's forward, we take our right hand off the floor. We then try and slide the right hand under the left.
Ooh.
And then bring it all the way back around as we look towards the hand, bringing that rotational element into the movement. So rotate under. and then rotate all the way back around. Looking at the hand all of the time, where the eyes look, the body follows. Another variation that we can do is to try and hit the hamstring on the front of that thigh, on the front thigh, sorry. So taking the hand now either side of the leg, and then just trying to push that leg nice and straight, and then coming forwards again, coming straight again, hamstring in this movement. If I then try and push forwards a little more, I can get a good stretch through the ankle joint like Josh was doing last week, and then back up from there.
Yeah.
So like we say,
really cool.
it's one movement or one exercise that incorporates a lot of different movements and a lot of different articulations, which is what tennis is. Like we talked about before, the amount of changes of direction on a court, the amount of movements that we make on court. We need these drills in our training to be able to withstand the rigors of the training and the competition. So
yeah, cool.
Yeah.
For the people out there, if you feel something like the opposite of it, like it's low back pain or different kind of pain, then you can also warm up a little bit by just like jogging maybe or something like that before getting into a position like this, which is a really good one. But some people, believe it or not, they get on those positions and they feel weird or they feel pain. So ease yourself into it, kind of like warm up to stretch, which I am a huge fan of it. So
I think that's a really good point as well. We've shown some progressions there, but in terms of regressions, when I was talking about keeping that back leg straight, some people just won't be able to do it through tightness within the quads, within the hip flexors. So allowing that knee to bend if it needs to bend is fine. We're just looking for, like, A1 position would be straight back leg, so we're taking the hip through full extension. But yeah, like regressions are there for everybody to be able to build you up to that higher level. Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah. With mobility, I'm a huge proponent of making that movement work for yourself. So you might start in that very first regress position. That does not mean that's your Spider-Man or world's greatest stretch that you have to live with. You would try to challenge yourself to improve and open up the potential range of motion that your body has. And then you can go up to those next levels. Like if I'm more stiff in the morning, I might not be as effective as this is if I'm going to go out and hit in the afternoon, let's say. So working through those ranges without forcing, because the body, your brain's protecting movement. So smooth movements to increase it and then progress yourself through. So, or Mike, if you don't mind, can I show one piece of this as well?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
so if I'm really
Josh loved this one, I can tell. Josh loved
No. Okay, so if I'm really, I'll be facing you. You can get to that first regress position that Mike was showing, and even into like that 4-point, and my back knee's still bent. Okay, but I feel this in my back hip and my right hip and hamstring, and you can literally just kind of move your hip. You can see my right knee. I'm just moving my hip through those positions that might be tight, and then I can lift up into the back leg to straighten it, and then you can still sink and play around with those ranges in that right hip. When you feel that loosen up, that's when I think we would all say, like, try to get to that first Spider-Man transition position that Mike was showing in his video, and then even progressing into those rotations. But for people to know, mobility is not straining, mobility is not permanent. So working your way through positions to allow your most movement potential to show, that's what we're after here.
Yeah. I like that you guys keep bringing up like so many things that you can do with one single movement. Just for the listener and the viewers out there, like we're showing you all these cool things, but it's you the one that's gonna find out. You're the one that's really feeling, right? So find out what feels the best for you, like what you should move, and it's once again just tools for you. Coaches and players to create what works for you and move forward with that. So It's really cool.
Yeah. Awesome movement, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great one that we, as I say, we use every day. You can, like Josh was talking about, in terms of floors as well. We use it with the younger ones in crawling patterns. So I don't have enough room here to be able to do it, but then putting it into to actually locomotion as well. There's so much you can do with it and play around with it. But and like we said, there's so many different levels. It's not just you'll stay at this level forever. It's a progressive drill that you'll just gradually, day in, day out. If you keep doing it before each tennis session, you're going to progress on it. You're going to feel better for it. So absolutely, it's a great one.
Cool.
For sure.
Awesome.
I guess I have one.
Shall we move on?
Oh, yeah. All right, we're going to strength, I guess. Yeah, we can go. All right, getting strong. This one is a big movement.
Man, I just realized on that picture they're doing like one arm push-ups. Is that the one you're gonna do? Oh no.
No. So I'm doing a variation of it's a rear foot elevated split squat, or maybe you've seen it called the Bulgarian split squat. I'm showing two different torso angles because I want to talk about that. That's a lot of times people are doing one movement, and I'm going to show you from this side view my hips. Like the first thing is I'm going to crank my low back and extend, and people will go into that extended position when they go down, especially if they have some tight quads and hips. So something like Mike's mobility movement prior to this can help get you in a better position for this strength movement. So in the first position, my torso is pretty close to being vertical. So that's going to be more emphasis on my front leg, more so in the quads, pushing through the ground. And right here, I'm going to make my spine neutral. So I'm tucking my hips to not arch my lower back. So tennis is all about single leg strength, balance, stability. If you think about it, you're going to be loading on one leg and transferring to the other leg. You're going to be serving and landing on that opposite side leg. You're going to be balancing on the outside of the court and pushing off a recovery on one leg. So getting very strong and confident on a single leg is super important for tennis performance and injury prevention. So this first one where my torso is vertical is going to be more in the quad dominant. And that second position, you can see that angle in my torso. I'm kind of flexing at the hip. It's a hip hinge, not on the spine. And that's going to put more load into the back side, like the glutes, more so the glutes and hips, which is going to be where our power comes from. Yeah. Talking about this, if someone has like cranky knees or knee pain, I would suggest doing the slight torso lean and emphasize more the backside. If someone is super quad dominant, meaning they're on their toes all the time, and as a tennis athlete, I would try to encourage some of that slight torso lean variation. If you want to work more on the quads and the explosiveness being in your quads and getting in and out, then I would say let's go with this. I'm going to show it here, the vertical torso, and you're dropping straight down, straight up. That shin angle can vary, but this forward torso lean I love. A lot of people may not do that as much. As long as you're in a good low back and spine position, I'm a huge fan of that slight torso increase to engage the backside and the glutes and the powerhouse of the body for sure. So this can be done at home. I just use a stair in my garage. So definitely.
Or you can also use a chair or a couch, like whatever you have. This one, man, I hope we have enough time to break this one down. So many things that here, because it can go also. I'm gonna think a little bit like how people might be thinking. You know, like they always say in fitness, oh, you know, that knee over the toes, you should never go. You know, you should keep that angle. You know, like in sports, when you reach certain level, when you play tennis, your knee goes over the toe. So you actually have to train according to how you play. And, you know, it's not that it contradicts itself. It's that the athlete is already qualified to do a movement like this. And that's something to keep in mind because it could work the opposite, right? So your knee is going, especially when you go, the torso is going forward and you're like feeling more on the quad, it's more prompt for the knee to go over the toes. And some coaches might freak out about it, but you have to show the brain the same movement, just how you play the game. So I want to bring that up because there might be people thinking, but well, you know, I've heard that's not the right way to do it. You know, we always joke about it like, you don't know what I'm trying to do. So depend where your athlete is, you do these movements. And for coaches out there, one of the good things you can do is for you to try the exercise yourself, so you can actually feel what the athlete is feeling. Because sometimes, as professionals, you write the program, you do the exercises, you know, you show them, but you actually never go through the program to feel what they feel, and it's huge. That makes a huge difference. I make so many changes as I go with that because I tried the exercises that they're trying. So pretty much every single thing the athlete does, you have done before, and that's a good way to feel what they feel. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do have some. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
I was just going to jump on to what Dio was saying about the knees over toe. I think in a sporting situation, in a chaotic environment, if that's going to happen, then it would be irresponsible of us as S&C coaches not to address that in a controlled environment in a gym setting. You know, where Josh was doing that exercise, he was in full control of the speed of the movement, the direction of the movement. Whereas if Josh is chasing down a drop shot and coming to a complete stop, he's not in control of that. But if he's strengthened it within the gym environment, then he's going to be in a much better position to be stronger, to be more efficient, and to reduce the likelihood of him getting injured in that position on court. So I think, yeah, Dio, nail on the head when you're talking about the knee over the toe like that. It's massive to be trained in controlled environments. That's what we do. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, and again with this exercise, again, you can do so many things. You can add weight, you can add some jumping to it, make it more of a power thing. But I know we're in strength, you know, loading one side of the body to load the frontal plane, right, which is the most abandoned plane. So you can go get some weight on the side and go at it and create some unbalance yourself. You can go down and move your body to the side, to the front. You can rotate, you know, so many things. You know, rotating will challenge the ligaments of the knee, which is huge for the game, right? Because you just keep changing directions, you know, as you go. Foot strength, which it's crazy how much we never work on the things we use the most, like the feet, the hands, you know, like he did it bare feet. That's another way to do it. You can do it with shoes on. I mean, like I told you at the beginning, like there's not enough time to break this exercise down because it's so cool, right? For some people, they're gonna feel the quad is super tight. What can you do with weights to increase flexibility and strength as you go? So again, you know, there's so much meat for the coaches out there to like, you know, peel. So anyway,
Yeah.
I think that's perfect when you talk about being able to develop strength with this exercise, being able to develop power with this exercise, but the mobility and the flexibility thing is huge. Just because it's in our strength section today, it doesn't mean it can't act as a flexibility exercise. You know, if Josh held that bottom position for 4 seconds and did 5-10 repetitions of that, you would feel a decent stretch through that quad and that hip flexor. It's again like the Spider-Man. It's trying not to think of an exercise or a movement as just one fold, as one dimensional. We can achieve so much. So you talked about stability and balance, Josh, straight away. You know, those are massive for tennis players. But then we talk about mobility, we talk about power, we talk about strength, we talk about it in different movements or rotation, leaning. It's yeah. You've chose one that could last 3 hours, Josh.
Yeah, it's a big one. I want to talk about maybe a regression and then things to watch out for. Maybe some feeding on progressions that you had talked about, both of you, with the weights or the holds and stuff. But something that I'm going to show a regression. Let's say you have very tight hips or whatnot, or knee pain. You can just get in the half kneeling position, and I'm actually on that back foot. And we didn't even talk. I mean, such a big movement. my back foot is in that dorsiflexed or ankle position, so I'm working on my ankle mobility at the same time. And if I'm on a step, you can be whichever position's comfortable, but a big bang is going to be with that dorsiflexed foot position if you can tolerate that. And if I'm just going to work my way to this, I can just do a half, start from a kneel to stand split squat. So I'm just doing that same pattern here. And I can even start standing up and going into that. Understanding when this back foot goes up, it's going to put more stress through my front side hips and maybe into low back, and it's going to make it more of a single leg dominating movement. So it's really important if you have really tight hips, as soon as you go up into this position and you start to go down, you can see my low back might start to dump or arc. Then I would suggest to not start with the foot elevated position because you're taking your low back into some stress. That would be starting maybe with that hip flexor stretch positions or those Spider-Man flows that Mike was showing, and then you can go into this type of position. So watching your low back dump, see if you can see my foot. Bringing my foot in, I can now go down and my knee is actually going over my big toe. Uh-oh. But controlling that position. Maybe you're in the bottom of this position and I'm holding that. Now I'm controlling my knee wanting to move over my toe. My back leg is getting a stretch if I'm in that neutral position. The rest is burning. So there are many things you can do with this pattern. And as Dio was talking about, it's not just straight ahead. So this movement, like in the video, is one plane of motion. Tennis is multi-planes of motion on every single shot. Rotation, side bending, keeping posture, forward, backward. So having this movement, if you have a band, I really like hooking a band up, and the band might be pulling me right or left, and I have to stay neutral, and then I go into my patterns. Or as Dio was saying, loading one side of your body, and that's my side bending control. So lots of different things. If you want to challenge some stability, I'll show you one more. Going down, working on that flexibility and holding. Now watch my front foot up on my toe.
Ooh.
Holding, you can even go through reps. I don't need any weights for that one as I build up stability and control. The tennis athletes on the balls of their feet, their knees will kind of be moving. So getting control of that, as Mike said, in a controlled environment, massively important for performance and prevention of injury. So
the cool thing about bringing so many variations is that people have to remember that every single move we make, the brain is recording, right? So every single thing that we show, the brain has seen it before. So when you go to court, you just concentrate on playing the game and your body will respond to the messages because you've seen it before. So pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, lots of stuff.
Yeah,
you can add
I love obviously there's so many progressions with that exercise, but the simple regression that you use just into the standard split squat, so just both feet onto the floor, that itself can be challenging for a lot of people. So if you feel like that's where you're at now, like you're in good company. There's a lot of people that are in that regular split squat position, and use the time that we can't get on court much to develop that pattern. And then as you develop, like we talked about with Spider-Man, over time you'll progress and then get that back foot elevated and just increase that difficulty of the motion and the movement. It's an incredible exercise. Good luck, Josh.
I think I want to add to this. I cannot stop talking about this one. It's that don't rush yourself into anything. If you want to get better at it, just try it every day. Sometimes we see things on TV, celebrities and people that have nothing to do with exercise, and they show you the things already at the advanced level. And as athletes, especially the young ones, you want to jump in and do things like just like you saw them. And there's a progression to things. And don't be afraid to descend the exercise. Maybe your foot is going to be 2 inches off the floor. It's what you got. It's so work from there and then like progress to bringing that leg up higher and higher and higher, and then add weight and movement. So don't be afraid of that. So because sometimes you're jumping ahead and doing things, it's just like doing the opposite of what you really want, which is to train. So stay away from the draining and start training. So that again is like meeting yourself to where you are and qualify yourself so you can do things the right way.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Playing around with those torso angles, you'll notice differences where you feel that in your core and your lower body as well. So lots of different ways to play with this, and you guys can always reach out if there's questions on regressions or this movement or any movements. But guys, anything else before we move on to power section?
I just think that the final thing would be, again, just to jump on Dio's point of get used to or be proud of doing the basics really well. I think that's a huge thing. Like Dio said on social media, we see so many flashy exercises. Like, take pride in doing the basics to a very high level, because not many people do. People want to rush too quickly to be at the next level, So be somebody who can nail the basics very, very well, and you'll be in a good place going out on the court. But yeah, that was my just last 50 pence worth.
Yeah, awesome.
I want to talk a lot more about it, but we got to move on.
Yeah, maybe power section.
Okay, power. That's me. Last video. The video is coming soon. There you go. And yeah, I wanted to see that. Cool. All right, first of all, what I want to say about power is like you have to make sure you are completely not even warm. You actually have to be hot and breaking a sweat before you do power exercises. If you see me here, I'm older than most of you, the ones that are watching. I had to, which I probably won't show you too much today because I'm not warm enough. Power is something that you should not make any adaptations other than just like go for it. When you do power exercises, it's all you got, and if you want to do it right, you warm up, you get hot, and you go at it into the power program that day, and that's what you do for that day, because it's going to require you to do everything with every single force that you have. It has to show in the movement, because that's what you're going to bring to the game. This is not a time. I'm showing you here, as you can see, in one of them I lose balance. That's fine. That's going to happen. Make sure you reset yourself and then go at it again. So don't start. You see, like, I go to the side there. Like, don't start your movement in a faulty position. So you got to make sure you're completely grounded, and then you go for it, And again, with this one, you can add some like throwing medicine balls and stuff like that. You can jump to a different foot and land on it. A bunch of different things. Another thing I wanted to add is like, if your athlete's doing this and you see the knees wobbling, you have to, it's funny to say, but you have to descend the power movement. Maybe you don't want to jump that high. Maybe you want to jump like maybe an inch off the floor. Maybe the size of a nickel off the floor. There's nothing wrong with that. It's where you are. So if your athlete wants to jump high again, you see like many imbalances, the head, shoulders going forward, or you always see that every time they land, they lose balance, you might not be ready for the exercise. But there might be other things that you can do to work on the lower body. Maybe you want to do a normal jump squats, and that's what you have, and that's okay. And then from the jump squats, you add some throwing medicine balls. Then you move to the split squat, which is huge. It's huge for the game. This helps you with running, hitting the ball, striking the ball with all that you have. It's just a really cool one. I really love it. I do it a lot with my people, with the people that are ready. But again, I cannot emphasize enough. This is all you got. repetitions. You do small reps, like 6 to 8 reps max, and the resting time is really long because you want to make sure that you are full of energy again to perform the exercise. Because again, you gotta go with all you got. So, what do you think, guys?
Dude, so many
Yeah,
good
I
points
think-
there.
Go on, John.
Again,
What's
right?
that?
No, there's so many, like, I don't know where I want to start with that. So if we look back at last week, so Mike, you did the impact control, like the landing mechanics, right? So that's a prerequisite foundation that you have to have prior to doing an exercise that Dio is showing. And Dio was saying if your hips are coming in and your knees are wobbling or the torso is falling forward, you do not have the control at that time to absorb all of the power that you're creating. So being able to progress from that impact control and maybe regress, as Dio said, this movement and work your way up to this with less reps or less intensity in the sense of height, not intensity in the sense of effort, okay? Intensity can be kind of changed based on the variables that create an exercise program. So that's one thing I want to bring up. And the second thing was you're doing, Dio said 6 to 8 reps. Like, it's 6 to 8 reps. Maybe you're beginning, it's 2 to 4. Maybe you're elite level, you're doing 10 to 12, but it's a power movement. And if you want to train power, you have to do that specific rep scheme 100%, rest, let it restore, and train power again.
Yeah.
You can't be
Yeah,
doing
let me
this.
interrupt you there because you mentioned really cool. You mentioned resting. And well, rest, believe it or not, guys, and you know this, rest is actually a 4-letter word when it comes to the gym. There's so many coaches that they just don't want to rest because they want to keep it like hard and they want to keep it engaged. And what they don't know is that they're actually training the athlete for resiliency other than for power. For example, in a movement like this, right? So I had to say something about rest because for power movements, you actually have to rest to do it right. So sorry, but go ahead.
Okay, well, now I forget everything I was gonna say. So it's building on that point and exactly that is if you want to train power, then train power. If you want to train endurance, train endurance. If you're training speed acceleration, then you're training that skill. Okay, so you must rest to train power, and then you can do that for multiple sets. If I'm gonna have people do this movement that Dio's showing for 30 to 45 seconds, I'm no longer training power. I'm going to be training more the resiliency and the endurance, the intensity of training rather than actually producing more power. Because at that point, the energy system in which we're using to create power through our body and muscles is depleted. It's gone. So we're going to get faulty patterns. We're going to get more fatigue. And we're now training not power anymore. So just because it's a power movement that you're doing for longer, you're getting yourself out of that power range of work and then rest and then work for that skill. So just building off of what you had said, Dio, and I see Mike kind of going, so he might have some thoughts on this as well. But it's what is the purpose of the exercise? When are you using it? And then why, right?
And I think as tennis players, the average points lasts less than 7 seconds, and then you get 25 seconds, sneak a few extra seconds every time. So you're not working on average for massively long bouts of work. And that's why tennis is such an intense sport, because you work, you rest. Most of the time on a tennis court is not spent actually playing tennis. And I think that relates to that power exercise. If you want to be powerful, you've got to have long rest periods to be able to regenerate, to be able to rest and then be able to go again. But my favorite part of that movement, the video that you showed, Dio, was when you touch the floor. Like it happens.
Yeah.
It's a huge part of that type of movement. You lost stability, and you didn't need anybody to tell you that you'd lost stability. The fact that your hand touched the floor was a bit of a coaching cue for you to say, like, right, like go again, see if we can do it and see if we can land. And people that haven't got a coach at home to be able to take you through these exercises, like you can coach yourself by how it looks, how it feels. If you're doing these jumps and the back knee keeps hitting the floor, you're probably not ready to do these jumps, or you're trying to jump too high. Your ability to absorb the force isn't quite there yet. Whereas you saw Dio was coming to a really good solid stop position each time. So yeah, that was just what I wanted to add. But I love that part of the video. It's easy. It's easy as if a fitness professional is a sports scientist or specialist is to want to edit those bits of the video out. But that's all part of training. Yeah. You know.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of that. To show people, the people that know me, I'm a huge fan of showing the human side of things. Again, we see so many things on YouTube and you know, things out there that makes you believe that things have to be pretty and that we don't make any mistakes. And it's the all opposite of that, the complete opposite. You know, we all make mistakes, and I'm glad you brought it up. One of the main reasons why I wanted to leave this here, and I put it when I send it to you guys, is because it happens and it's going to happen. You know, the main thing is, you know, to show people that you know, the mistake happened, you lost it a little bit, and you reset and you just keep going, right? With all of you got. So yeah, it's awesome. But we all make mistakes. Embrace it and just keep moving forward. But remember something about power. Your strength has to be there. That's why we do weights, right? So you can like gain strength to actually push yourself harder against the earth, right? So you need to be stronger. So coordination, flexibility, mobilization, all the things that we're talking about, you know, all that translate to your power, which eventually you're gonna work on it. Everyone in the world, doesn't matter how old you are, if you play sports or not, what power should always be in your program. We use power in life to open doors, to get up, to fall, to save ourselves from situations where you need to act fast, right? So power can be adapted to what you do, right? You can lower the reps, but the movement itself, it's always gonna be fast. So it's not like a slow tempo power exercise. Maybe just to show it, but you know, I will go here to lower the intensity of this particular program. In power will be to lower the repetitions and then go from there. But the tempo itself is always fast. So sometimes I get bugged by it when I see athletes that spend like, you know, go like 20 to 25 repetitions of some kind of power movement. That's not power. You working something else, you know, maybe working endurance. So you need to call it the right way. So power is like small repetition, short repetitions, super powerful, all you got, and then go from there. So that's how you work power, learn something from it, and use it to the max. So anything else, guys?
I mean,
that was awesome.
Pretty good. I kind of thought of, I don't know, I want to share a little kind of super, like if someone's, let's say you've qualified yourself for power, or you've been working in the gym for many years and you're at that level where you have the mobility, you have the strength, you have been training power. Something you can do to challenge yourself is to go with that split squat elevated position that I was showing for like 8 to 10 reps in control, and then go right into Dio's like 5 reps of that same side power. So that would look like if my right leg is elevated and I'm gonna on the box, so my left leg, I mean, I can just show it too, but left leg's down, and I'm gonna do this guy here for, let's say, 10 controlled reps for my strength. My muscles fatigued. I'm gonna go right from there, no rest, and go right into that power movement with control. And then I might go into Mike's Spider-Man for like 2 minutes as a recovery, and then do that side again or the other side to restore that power. So it's strength and then potentiation of the muscle, and then producing force when you're a little fatigued to get a little more bang out of that exercise. So that would be, I don't know, guys, what do you say?
Yeah, that's getting a little bit more tricky to, it's kind of like warming up for the power movement. Maybe too advanced for a lot of people.
Well, just sharing came to mind. Like if collegiate level player watching, or some coaches out there with their players, I don't know, but if you're qualified to be doing those power movements and you're strong and stable enough, challenging yourself in that way. And then if not, is working up strength to be super strong in that split squat position, and then into the fast, maybe single lower rep of Dio's exercise too. So,
which is awesome too, because in the game you still gotta go through some power movements when you might feel tired, and
sure.
maybe this one is one of the things that you show the brain, like oh, I've been here before, I can go for it. So cool.
Awesome.
Again, I can talk exercise, man, like for hours. I know we have limited time here, and we break it down so people can understand, right? But go out there, try it, enjoy it. Don't believe us, just try your thing, get the information, try your thing, and come up with some things yourself where that makes sense to you and your people. So
cool. So next week, 1 whole hour on the big toe. No, I'm just kidding. We're not doing big toe. So every week you guys can tune in live on 9 a.m. Central Time on Austin Tennis Academy's Facebook page or YouTube 2020 Tennis Talk. And also 4 p.m. Standard Time, Standard European Time. We'll be live every Tuesday.
Boom.
And if you don't get the live show, guys, remember you can watch on demand. It's on the Austin Tennis Academy and Soto Tennis Academy Facebook sites, and also the Fitness 2020 YouTube channel as well. So if you want to rewatch anything back, or you missed episode number 1, then make sure you check episode number 1 out.
Awesome. All right.
Fun,
take advantage of it.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you soon.